is that Ziggs, when it is not banned, has been picked, and TSM takes it away.
Yeah, and as far as tournament metas go, there's also series metas. And if we look like this is a series, we can predict the TSM bans. They banned Kennen, Ziggs, and I believe LeBlanc in 3 games in a row beforehand, but they're switching it up here.
Yeah, Ziggs, Gragas, and then maybe Lulu first pick Karma. It's actually an approach that
I believe LeBlanc in 3 games in a row.
Strong on blue side because you lose your counter pick at least somewhere.
Yeah, I think the blue side strategy here with Ivern already being banned is you'll ban one of the Lulu or the Karma right here and then see if Gigabyte Marines is willing to do the same. If they do, you can still first pick Lee Sin. If they don't, you can trade Lee Sin and Graves back and forth.
Fascinated with the Ezreal ban. Maybe they're predicting a shift in TSM's pattern where they were just going to put Turtle on Ezreal right now so he can shift away. If he does approach a brush here and there and has an answer ready, they always predict that.
Oh, it's going to be bans against Starks. The entire bot lane left available, aside from Ziggs. For the Marines down here, they have one final ban to go before TSM gets that first pick. You think Lee Sin and Graves may be a trade, or maybe you go for the early Karma, maybe the early Lulu. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, a lot of aggression usually follows out of pushing lanes. That's what we see time and time again here for the Marines. They don't always need to go for it, but that is why the Ziggs is such a key component in their pick ban. They might have to match up for it by just picking a really strong pushing support. And if TSM can steal the Karma, it may be a hit to their economy.
Yeah, and I think this is actually pretty fascinating with the second marksman ban coming through, really having an idea of pinching Wild Turtle's champion pool a bit. And in this environment now, where we've seen so many pinches between Lee Sin Graves and between Karma Lulu, to have none of them banned, it actually lowers the priority on them a little bit. So yeah, they first pick Lulu because they prioritize it over Karma, but What's even more interesting about this is in this series between the Marines and TSM, the team with Karma is 5-0 a little bit. So yeah, they first pick Lulu because they prioritize it over priorities are, but it has not been based on the results of this series.
And now is Levi gonna go for steal or for comfort? Because taking away Svenskern's Lee Sin, technically on paper, should be a big hit right there, but we obviously don't know if he prefers something else.
And talking taking away, the Varus now off the table. They put 2 bans at Wild Turtle. They took a 3rd away. There's not a lot left. He's shown to be comfortable.
Go for steal or for comfort? Because taking away Sven. And then if it means he picks up Caitlyn very early on, they still will match the Karma right there and then the push. But if they choose jungler here, though, TSM still has the opportunity to go for another shield comp.
Yeah, this is Gigabyte Marines, I feel like, playing very aggressively in this draft phase because they're almost daring TSM pick both shields. We don't need them. We don't think you can play that strategy. Therefore, they're stealing other picks away, like getting the Varus before TSM had a chance to lock it in.
Yeah, and they basically call a bluff. If you want your double shields and your favorite jungler, well, then you can't pick an 80 carry, and we already squeezed you once, we'll squeeze you twice here. So Bjergsen locks into Caitlyn for his 80 carry, but TSM getting a decent amount of comfort.
Yeah, and I do think they still have a chance to put together a strong team composition. I feel like things like Caitlyn, Lulu, if they have something like an Orianna in the mid lane, still has tremendous power. But getting the Karma over this late in the draft, I think, is quite an accomplishment by the Gigabyte Marines.
Yeah, this is still a strong moment in the draft when you have parity in the first 3 picks, because then you can ban out the carry tops, pick a strong tank for your top laner, and then leave the counter pick for mid. It's actually quite a good strategy to do on that side.
This is... It's been a pretty compelling champ select right now. Gigabyte Marines got the priority pick on 2 roles, and TSM got priority on 1. And as you mentioned, Jack, Karma's been beating Lulu, and Karma's been winning overall in this head-to-head series. And now we are back into the second ban phase right now, and Fizz off the table.
Yeah, maybe a lot more top lane bans to come through for the Marines. Stark got bans thrown against him early on. The question is now TSM knows the Gigabyte Marines have a potential counter pick. Do they throw bans towards the mid lane right here? LeBlanc is something that TSM has banned every game where it's been available, did not ban it here, so you have to wonder if they throw a ban in that direction.
And then ultimately they can still keep that Karma flex alive until the last moment if LeBlanc makes it through for like TSM, for example. Same story for TSM, unless the Marines pick it early, but I don't think the LeBlanc instantly will happen.
Yeah, this is a huge banning out of top lane champions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bans already. A 6th could be on the way. People have accused Stark of having a small champion pool. Keep saying if you just ban Kennen and Graves, he's got nothing left. He's had a good Fizz game, I believe, and he also did okay on Jace. So we're calling that bluff a little bit here, especially if TSM throws another ban at the top.
He should be looking at Nautilus right now. Maybe the risk is Fiora matchup right there. I do believe that's fine. With the Shen now, I think he has to lock in Nautilus, but that maybe unlocks the carry potential of Hanser.
Yeah, and I think that's what TSM is going for here. They want to have a top lane priority of some kind. 6 top lane bans. If they take a top lane here as a priority, Fizz can flex as a mid lane ban, but 6 champions that can go top lane. That would be the 7th, and then 8th would go over to Hanser.
Yeah, super deep champion pool necessary here.
Nautilus is the hover.
It is the right choice.
There it is, yep.
But what is Hanser reaction here going to be? Because I thought only Fiora's left. He's hovering Renekton. Kind of forgot about that pick.
Yeah, there were
strong early picks.
A lot of top laners available.
Renekton.
They had a smattering of top lane bans. We've seen Fiora do well in Nautilus. Renekton is something Hanser did succeed with against Stark in the final game of their best of 5.
And this has to be Echo, I feel. Otherwise, your counter pick potential is ruined. Because conventionally, if you leave Syndra open, you can punish with Fizz and Echo. If you just go for survival, LeBlanc is still there. But I think Bjergsen rather plays the Syndra here.
All right, well, LeBlanc it is, though, all the same. They left it up, TSM did, and have to play Syndra into the matchup. They let him blind pick the mid laner with half a mid lane ban, and they said, the entire pool's up for you, do what you want, LeBlanc comes through.
Yeah, but thematically here, I think TSM gets some of their strengths. Like, what has been successful for them domestically and at the tournament is the ability to play around top side. Renekton historically has always had a really strong dive opportunity, level 3, 4, and even at 6, paired with the Lee Sin. We have a strong early laner in Bjergsen as well, and we have a bot lane that could technically survive. So if you're looking at TSM, if you're Parf, I think you're definitely not too unhappy.
Yeah, I agree with you. Being able to pick some of their just most known champions, specifically with Bjergsen and Syndra. Looking at the side of Gigabyte Marines, though, you look at their best players, typically Levi and Optimus, on S-tier champions here at the tournament. So I think both teams managing to pick to their style, and if TSM is looking for a place to win, it would be top lane.
Yeah, we're talking about champions that they're used to, champions that are great in the tournament. But then we have to wonder, how are the Gigabyte Marines going to surprise us in this early game? Is it going to be another fancy swap? Is it just going to be early aggression, level 1 cheese? Like, we don't know, because every single game, they seem to find a way to just add a little bit of flavor to the gameplay.
Well, the flavor's going to be fun to watch for in this one as we get ready into this one. Gigabyte Marines are 1-0 in the group stage. We talked about the best of 7. For those who don't know, these teams did play a best of 5 back in the play-in portion. That's no longer directly relevant to this game. As far as actual seeding is concerned, these teams are at 2 and 4, and the Marines are 1-0 in the head-to-head. Again, we're battling for what's, I think, optimistically 4th place seed going into the bracket stage. Winning here, very important for that.
Exactly. There are 6 teams in the group stage. The top 4 move on to the bracket stage. The top 4 also get what is known as a Pool 1 seed in the World Championship, which is the highest seeding possible. Gigabyte Marines have already guaranteed their region a spot in the group stage, which would be a Pool 2 seed. They can go for Pool 1, and being 2-0 against TSM, one of the main people they're going to be trying to compete against would be huge.
All right, Optimus, he wants to get a ward again. He has consistently been starting Sweeper to get ward experience, to get level 2 first in mid lane. It actually has snowballed in quite a lot of advantages. So it's actually quite comical that the outplay to beat the Gigabyte Marines is not warding.
That's what they want you to think.
Yeah.
Just don't ward. Trust us, we're not aggressive. Oh, unlucky. Marines sitting around hoping they can find a ward. They're not going to, and Sven just going to walk back out of the jungle.
They did see Sven walk over, though, which puts Biofrost in a dangerous spot.
Oh, he's going to get phase checked right now. Suddenly they're all here, and Biofrost going to flash, but the root is on, and the damage is there. That is the worst possible way to play level 1. Phase check into a wall, holding up what Dyrus used to do back in 2014.
But he did not find a ward. At least you got a hook.
Yeah, and you get no experience for a kill, right? Wink, wink. They do get experience for a kill. As well as gold. So the first blood gold goes over to Slay.
Minor details. I wonder what happened there.
I wonder what Sven Skaren was walking over towards mid lane for, because as soon as he does that, I also don't know why Biofrost would then try and take the spot, unless they were trying to do some type of delayed invade. Have to figure that out later, because what we know is that Gigabyte Marines come out swinging.
Okay, Sven just gave away one of the Raptors to Archie. He auto-attacked and let it die to the back half of the Soul Flare, but Sven should still get level 2 off of. Oh, he doesn't. He lost actually that many. I didn't realize.
Ooh, that's actually big, because now his second buff is slowed down a lot. So pacing down on Sven, and he'll drop very low in the jungle.
And he started W. He has no damage for this.
Archie and Slay were quite late to their lane, so they're losing the push here. So Bifrost is here, but okay, this replay doesn't tell us much. It looks like they were going for a 4-man contest. Oh, they think he's coming for the ward sweep. They're looking to punish him as he walks up for the ward sweep. That must have been it.
Perhaps, but then you wonder why they weren't there with 4 people or 5 to match it. Optimus getting aggressive.
And on to Bjergsen, red buff in for Levi, forcing the flash into this one. Couple more autos will do it. Here comes Sven, has the shield. He lands the Q, he's gonna get him! He's gonna get the trade kill. Svenskard gets a good early game.
What a huge way back in the game, and that bails TSM out of that early game. Svenskard had the slow start. He had his Raptor stolen away. He was slow on red, but getting that first blood now gives him farm time and a bunch of gold up over Levi.
And you can see that the Gigabyte Marines are always playing on the edge here. Levi going for a very creative flash to sidestep the sphere. The problem is he flashes in the just in tower range, I believe. It's a good engage here. Look, they're coming in. He's already level 2. First he gets punished.
And incredibly close to getting the explosion on the wall there
Gets hit anyway.
Waves Q onto Bjergsen, but he gets hit by the turret. Svenskard lands the Q, and that's all she wrote.
As you mentioned, he did flash in a turret range, and he actually failed to flash the Dark Sphere. The fact that it triggered Thunderlords means it did land, and so the worst of both worlds, really. Big mechanical misplay from Levi.
Now, Graves is a champion that can catch up pretty fast, even if he falls behind a little bit early. Lee Sin suffers a bit more, but he found that kill, so we're even again.
Still going for the trades, and Bjergsen did a pretty good job of it, actually. But here comes Sven, looking for something to do, not going to find the kill.
Something else that flowed out at level 1-2 when Karma and Varus were challenging Svenskard in the jungle is that Wild Turtle and Bifrost got first to lane. And this is a matchup that is very dependent on the first Q in lane by Karma. If she gets like 4 creeps with a Mantra Q, they'll get the push. But Bifrost and Wild Turtle, they have been consecutively pushing into this turret, and now Slay's under pressure despite getting first blood gold. He never actually went to buy.
Yeah, not only did Archie not get the first Q, he Mantra Q'd the Raptors, but Bifrost still has no flash from that level 1.
Exactly, flashes from the level 1. There's no way out for him. Quick kill comes through to Levi. Nothing he could possibly do about it. Good setup by Archie. Just the walk-up exhaust got the kill.
There's nothing you can do about it once he's there, but this has been a persistent problem for TSM's bottom lane here at MSI. They have not been contesting the blast cone in that lane, especially when you're pushed up. You have to find a time to trinket over the wall as a ranged support, hit the blast cone, walk back. That cuts off the routes for Graves to get in there while still having his quick draw up.
Speaking of cutting off routes, they can't get away and block off Stark's Q, gets to the wall pretty easily.
And I like, it's a wasted teleport, right? And everybody saw Stark was safe. But it speaks to the mindset of the Gigabyte Marines. It is teleport first, think later. And again, this ward is not enough if you're disaggressive against the Karma. So TSM, they're not predicting what is the most likely move our opposition is going to make. They're playing a Karma. Well, of course he's going to try and W you.
Ooh, unlucky on this one. 400 gold lead for the Marines. And we do have another pause real quick. We'll see what that ends up being in a little bit. Although Bjergsen immediately said ready right afterwards. So could have been a mistake of a pause, but the players all said they're okay.
Accidental pause, they're saying ready. We'll obviously get word if it is something else, but it looks like they're thinking about carrying on. 5 minutes into this one, it's been pretty busy.
So I got word what it was. Apparently, LCS Pigeon sends his regards. There was a bug flying around right in front of, I guess, his littler cousin in front of Bjergsen, who paused. Oh, there's insects here. I need to chill. Literal insect. Of course, Sven, not level 6, can't insect. And otherwise, they're ready to go. As we mentioned, the players all said ready. Crepo is groaning. Even that was bad for his standards. Yeah. We are back into the game.
You had some good ones, Freak, but I'm going to subtract some points for that one.
That's fair. I mean, North America's not really showing up for this tournament. My puns, I guess, emblematic of that. Biofrost getting jumped on, does get away with it. The haste gets him out of this one. And nice trade by Wild Turtle. Gets a good amount of damage on that Slay. The traps were there. Ignite's almost enough. Will he burn down? And yes, he does! What a nice shot there for TSM, getting that kill picked up.
Ooh, a lot of progression here. Not only does Ignite kill him, Turtle did not flash aggressively to go for the auto.
Now they still have flashes.
He's evolving. He's learned.
And that means double summoner spell burned from Slay as well. That is a killer for that lane, which was just ganked successfully by Levi.
That's why you always mind the trap.
Yep.
Never step on it.
You gotta mind that one. I do want to point out that Slay, as you mentioned, getting first to lane, I don't believe he recalled at the first blood, so he was laning with 400 gold in pocket, but not that second longsword, for example. So they were laning on somewhat equal footing initially, but as you mentioned, this fight was still won by TSM.
And they were late to lane. So
yes.
That was the biggest. They were actually down quite a bit of CS here. And that counter gang came out to help them out, but the fact that TSM now gets this extra kill. Let's see, where does Turtle hide it?
Yeah, places it down.
There's that. And he's still slowed from Glitterland, who just walked into it.
Yeah, you do have flash there if you're Slay, so yeah, it's inexcusable. You can't get trapped.
And the other mistake is you need to heal before Ignite hits you. All right, Ignite cuts healing by 50%. Good players will understand I'm gonna get all in here, and they will prematurely heal before Ignite lands. It's actually a crucial skill of playing bot lane, and of course Slay made that mistake as well. And small mechanical hiccups are hurting the Marines here in situations where they probably could have come out ahead. Get another all-in here in the mid lane. Optimus going to take the ulti, though. Look at the damage. Narrowly dodges the stun.
I love the way Bjergsen reads this. He pops a couple Qs down. He knows. He starts with W. That's fine if you miss it, because if you miss your E in this matchup, you're definitely screwed. So before he knows where Optimus is going to end up, he just opens up with R, and then he gets a million spheres on his floor, so that when he does press E, it's so likely to hit.
Yeah, it forces Optimus to retreat because he knew what combo was coming. Also, want to point out, this is not your cleanse Lulu Bjergsen mid lane, it's an Ignite Cinder, so definitely back to trying to be an active player.
Ooh, damage, Archie is just gone. Biofrost gets the kill. This one, Slay on the chase, but Turtle with the flashy save, dodged the piercing arrow. And here comes Haunter. He's teleported. He's level 6. He's got flash. There is no way out for Slay. Biofrost flash is a guarantee. Maybe a bit aggressive, and somehow Sven is caught alone on the top side of the map, loses his flash, still dies anyway. Trade for Bjergsen in the mid lane against Optimus, wins that.
Then probably setting up for a gank top lane. He's playing around Hansi. That's the way you win. Suddenly this guy disappears and you find yourself holding for pressure in the top side. But what a performance here at TSM bot lane. Definitely outclassing 2v2.
Yeah, the only thing you can criticize there is Biofrost flashing for the kill that was all but secured with no summoner spells on Slay. Maybe they're worried about a blast cone escape or something, but kill secure by the support. They're not the greatest. Haunter making it back up to top.
And you save Haunter's flash rate. So it's a trade-off. Like, do you want to reward your top laner? Do we give him the kill because he was such a nice boy to teleport down in the bot lane? Or do we just make absolutely sure we're not misreading any blast cone play here?
Yeah, Lulu does scale decently with gold, so I think they're going to be okay with it.
Going to be pretty happy with this one, absolutely. We can watch this fight again of what happened with Sven. Oh, he's actually clearing on top of a ward.
Yeah, and he's looking to set up a dive potentially on 6-2. Flashes out. Yeah, so he ends up getting collapsed here.
Why didn't you see that? It slows you down. Nice anchor there.
Yeah, really well played by Stark. And then in the bottom lane, there was that Lulu flash. Like that ward Archie just placed. A lot of teams do it though. Seems to be the new standard ward. Because obviously when you just randomly ward this brush here, it's going to get contested immediately and you lose the vision. And most junglers do path that way to bot side.
Right now it's going to stay up, so we'll see what happens. Optimus clearing in the mid lane and has been mostly attacked by Bjergsen. He got an 8-farm lead for the TSM mid laner.
And then the second ward that he placed is now being cleared by Biofrost. It's in the Krug Brush. So if you combine both the ward in the Krug Brush and the one behind Dragon, you can negate warding Tri-Brush altogether, so you dodge the sweeps there. And it's the precursor to a teleport play, because Stark right now has TP advantage over Haunter. The fact that he did that though tells TSM, oh, they're planning exactly a teleport.
Exactly, and LeBlanc is even missing, so this is where Gigabyte Marines are trying to make their plays. They've had 5-man dives bought even before this in this series, so TSM adapting a little bit, pulling all the way back, but they don't actually have a counterplay set up.
They're looking for a counterplay mid right now. Svenska's hugging Bjergsen, and they want to go for mid since he couldn't go top in time. But Optimus dodges it, so good punish here by the Gigabyte Marines.
They're staying alive for a little bit longer. This wave, it should be dropping down. The red buff on leave, I gotta be plenty for this. TSM did still get the first turret in the bot lane. The earlier ganks had paid off, and they managed to get the first turret gold, but nice move by Marines actually to turn it around at least to make it closer.
Yeah, and even after the dust is settled, it's a 1,500 gold lead for TSM, which is better than a lot of their early games have been against the Marines. They have had this lead and also lost a game before because of how aggressive the Marines play. But if you think about win conditions, the 25 CS lead in the top lane is very solid for TSM because they're going to be looking to split push with him pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, and this mid lane matchup is also so much more comfortable right now for Bjergsen. We already saw that he was varying up his skill usage because he got that Negatron scope. He's no longer at risk of getting all in by a teleport LeBlanc. LeBlanc spirals ahead early with TP because you get an item advantage early on. There's definitely the right players are in the right setting right now for TSM.
I agree. We'll see if they can keep it moving forward right now. If Marines find a bit of a comeback, they've not really been known to do so. Marines have always been a very strong early game team and hoping to snowball from there. See if they can navigate a deficit.
Yeah, and Marines are setting up around the bottom lane. TSM's thinking about setting up around the top lane. Again, the respect is actually given by both sides. Stark did back up until Bjergsen started wandering back towards mid.
Yeah, what's TSM going to give up? Maybe an Ocean Drake. What is Gigabyte Marines going to give up? Maybe a kill on a Dragon, or a tower here rather. It doesn't seem like they want to commit onto Stark.
So far, not much gain. There is still a lot of turret pressure. That turret will fall soon-ish. Cripple points out that Optimus does have teleport, and that's a good point. Of course, he can always join these frays whenever he wants to.
And I like that TSM is thinking about that. Because so often we've seen them, oh, let's dive this boy. Big tank takes him out the kill, but we definitely have the damage. Renekton can dive super easily in and out of turrets, but then there's always that TP from LeBlanc here.
Yeah, typically when you play against the Gigabyte Marines, if you're any team but SKT, your goal is to slow the game down. Because they're so aggressive and you hope to be able to catch them in a reckless pattern. That's what it looks like TSM is trying to do here, is the game is slowed down much slower than any Gigabyte Marines game we've seen.
And what's funny is that was the prediction that everyone had coming into the tournament. That, oh yeah, Marines are really aggressive, they're gonna look for plays all the time. As long as you stop them, you're gonna be okay. And like that, you might find the situations, just ward your jungle, you'll find someone roaming. And yet so few teams were able to do that so far this tournament. Maybe it's just taken another week to finally settle in, but
the 22nd game is the one they'll get him.
Yeah, I know, it's funny, but and of course we've seen teams have good early games here against the Marines, but this was this style everyone expected, yet no one ever actually saw. The punish game. TSM this time around actually getting it.
Yeah, I just want to praise the synergy right there from Svenskeren and Bjergsen, leaving no counterplay unless Optimus flashes the kick initially. Because it's kick into QE, then Q connects, Svenskeren holds it until Distortion gets pressed the second time, finishes off the kill here. So almost a 0% play for Optimus once that kick is in motion.
Yep, as long as you land the skill shots, there is no inputs Optimus can press that keep him alive. Good execution by TSM. 5-3 the kill score. 2,000 gold up is pretty solid for the 12.5-minute mark. Ponser continuing his level of dominance. 29 minions up and a lot of turret pressure on the top side.
Yeah, and I'm a little surprised that we actually haven't seen anyone go for the Ocean Drake. We got to see in the last game what the power of 2 Ocean Drakes in a very frantic game can have, especially with the way Marines and TSM games have gone in the past, where it turns into these really long, extended fights where people are sticking around at low health. Ocean Drakes would be massively important in that, so very surprised Gigabyte Marines haven't tried to force it with all the attention. Top lane.
Looks for the flash, he actually knocks up, well, hits it into the reptile, but it actually turns back on a Sven. Levi, when he has his E, can jump back over the wall, uses ult for it. Sven takes some damage for that. Levi gets out.
Yeah, who said Herald was bad on this patch? Still finds his use sometimes.
He does. It's interesting, actually, statistically, Rift Herald has actually gotten least in the North American LCS. And even the regions that get it the most in Europe and Korea, Rift Herald in this tournament is still picked up twice as often as in those regions. It's 9x what it is in North America.
Yeah, exactly. For more numbers behind those stats, Rift Herald has been taken in half of the games coming into today. North America, it was taken in 11% of the games. Prepper and I were talking about this earlier, and we were trying to figure out some of the reasons, because the normal one you'd think, they're taking it in solo queue, it just carries over. But there's a lot of meta and champion reasons we think that could be happening.
Yeah, generally open maps have you ending up more randomly on the top side as well. Also, if you can push deeper into tier 2, it's easier to pick something up along the way. Also, fast-paced games tend to have a lot of objective trades.
We'll see if they can trade something in the top side. Ulti for damage. Hanser down to half HP, burns his own, and loses the flash for it. So in the one-on-one of flash forced, Marines pushing top.
And the Marines, pushing top together as 4 again. They love just disappearing from lanes, showing up somewhere else where you least expect it. And this might be something that TSM has a lot of issues dealing with, because domestically, from what I've been seeing in the NALCS, is that they usually have very long standard laning phases, up until the 18-minute mark sometimes. And also, that's why I feel like in NA, there's very few Rift Heralds taken, because most bots were still 2v2 laning at this very point.
See if that comes into anything, but it's TSM actually, because of the 4-man push top side, that leaves the bot lane open. You mentioned objective trades. Nothing actually came of the top lane push, really, but it leaves Ocean Drake completely available. TSM grabbed it without a worry.
Yeah, and Gigabyte Marines need to find a way to get this LeBlanc into the game. They haven't been able to make roams to the side lanes. They haven't been able to get the Gunblade completed, and it is their way of breaking open this map, especially when they have a Nautilus in the top lane who's more about grouping. Optimus is the guy that needs to be applying that side lane pressure, but Svenskeren and Bjergsen have been right on his tail this whole game and haven't allowed him to find an open.
Yeah, this is where Archie is also maybe wishing he picked up the Bard instead, just having reliable. He
got another trap!
So much damage on Optimus. Here comes the snipe. Can he get something to block at the shield? Didn't even get it there in time, so he just survived with his own HP bar.
2 flashes burned, and then also Levi's ultimate. That leaves this turret fairly defenseless.
The damage been in this one. Plenty of damage to put through right now. Half HP already. Been threatening the chance to die. Of course, he had burned his flash earlier, doesn't have that one, but the turret's going to fall. It can't run away.
Here's the reaction. 1, 2 teleports coming out. Renekton is matching.
This is the play. This fight could mean a whole lot for the rest of this one. Hanser on the front side, and looks like right now the Marines can't find their opening just yet, but they're still trying to chase. Bjergsen spamming spheres for the ulti possibility. And it's just 2 TPs for 1, nothing gained.
Yeah, and now Gigabyte Marines is potentially going to try and double down. They didn't get that, but they hope they have the angle on mid lane. If they can't get damage on the mid lane turret, that's a big loss for Gigabyte Marines, because that was the types of spells they can use to get some of the tempo back. But if they don't get this, it's huge.
Oh, Stark jumps in against 5 people, roughly. The rest of his team is still in mid lane or somewhere else. Hanser was far. It wasn't 5 people. I'll take that one back.
That is also the gamble they take. They always hope that there's 3 or 4 randomly and 1 guy's in base.
This is the move, though. Bjergsen was in base, and Hanser was in the top side.
Oh, that was so nearly the catch on Wild Turtle. He just sidestepped the anchor toss, but here comes Hanser. He's popped ult. He wants in. Dashes forward, finds a giant knockup from Lulu. Look at the burst damage of this one. Optimus trying to buy some time on the side. Nearly picks out Svenskar. Can't quite get him, but it did kill off Hanser despite the wild growth. They took him down. The trade kill comes through for Bjergsen. Optimus still cutting in the sides. Can he get away from the CC though? He's been spotted. He's been ignited. They know where he is. Bjergsen flashes for the damage output. They're gonna get him. He actually gets back onto a trap. Heads up play by Turtle to trap the distortion marker. And now they're gonna keep going.
Firefox is having a fantastic game here in the 2v2 with Wild Turtle. They're getting an advantage, and there's a massive flash wild growth onto Renekton from Hanser that was crucial to the winning that fight.
It did a massive amount of damage, but at the same time, I do feel like it overextended him a little bit. Getting that fight, though, absolutely huge. Biofrost and Hanser playing with a ton of confidence.
Yeah, double dash. He knows the support has the backup here. 3-man knockup. Optimus is going to flank in, but he's spotted. And more importantly, Turtle and Bjergsen just untouched. When these guys get to space to perform in fights, they can still deal out the damage. It's in these crucial situations where they have to play on the edge that it has often failed for TSM. And this game entirely has felt like TSM has almost always been in control of what's happening.
Yeah, that is something that is so hard to find against the Gigamite Marines, is that feeling of control. And losing it at minute 1 when Biofrost died and then they started invading their jungle shows a type of in-game resiliency, and that's what TSM need to be able to do to bounce back in games.
They've done it so far. 3,000 gold up. Generally speaking, again, when teams get the early game leads, they close out. Marines have had almost the best early game in the tournament, and yet they're 2-4 because after 30 minutes, they've not known what to do. Now, TSM have had this similar problem, by the way. One of the TSM's biggest problems this year has been the clock hits 30 minutes, and they haven't closed the game out just yet. That happened to the Worlds last year as well. This time around, though, I think TSM may have better endgame shot calling, and they are in a position to succeed.
And when that clock ticks 30, so often Hanser finds himself outscaled. He's picking a very poor scaler here in Renekton, but Stark is not having a good game. So maybe even at the 30-minute mark, there will at least be parity in terms of pushing power on that side lane.
Ironic that a Crocodile bad scales. Unlucky for Hanser there, but
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll give you.
yeah, see, thank you. I appreciate that. Here we go. I mean, think about it, not so heavy. He tips the scales pretty heavily in this one, and here comes Svenskar. Going to land the Q, and Optimus rooted, goes into half HP. Mid lane turret still a bit under fire, and TSM looking to make this a 3-1 turret score soon enough. And they are staying near the mid side. Bot lane has been ignored so far. Hanser might be heading down there soon enough. Both teleports will be available shortly, and likely to be an area of contest soon.
Exactly, and this game is getting so interesting with the outer turrets still alive in so many lanes. Gigamite Marines do seem to be hoping for that one pick, and they actually may have found something in the mid lane.
Oh, they found a dead Crocodile, turns him into a belt, but TSM still pushing up at the top side. Of course, it's 5v4 on the map. TP up in about 12 seconds. The Marines can't get Stark there just yet.
This could be a breaking point for this game because TSM may be walking into a 5v4. They're continuing to push, knowing Hanser is down. 20 seconds until his up TP
15.
Almost off cooldown.
Yeah, the goal here is to corral them, not play for the objective here. Keep them pushed against the wall, and then run them down.
TP in 5. Can they corral TSM into the 4v5? Hanser will not respawn by the time TP completes. Can they get Stark into the fight?
Stark.
Can they corral
Not close,
TSM?
though.
Big ulti comes through. The TP is very far. It's back in the pit of the Rip-Tailed. Ulti comes in, can't quite kill off Levi. Here comes the teleport in for Hanser. He'll actually join the fight first. Oh, wow. Actually, one staying alive. Sven getting the kill onto Optimus, and a catastrophically bad teleport means that Marines can't find the intro. Stunning up Bjergsen. Burst damage going to come through. Levi gets the kill, and the chase is on. Can they find more? Slow to Biofrost. The root's going to be there as well, and yes, that means the fight is 2-for-1 in favor of the Marines.
But TSM still took 2 turrets down, so the overall trade is still beneficial for them. What a difference a good teleport could have made this fight here. Stark was nowhere near in time or in the right place.
The only thing I can think of is the Gigamite Marines ran out of wards.
Must have.
Because it was such a good idea of a play to get him there, but Stark came in at the Baron pit, and even when Hanser essentially got to the fight beforehand because of the long retreat, Gigamite Marines still had a bit of an advantage in the fight.
Yeah, with that in mind, maybe they should have herded their sheep to the right instead of to the left, right? Put more people on the top side of Baron, hold them in that lane longer, because the ward was actually in Asher, so we're already too late here. But what if the Marines just path the top left way more aggressively?
Yeah, and then watching the fight right here, Hanser does get a TP in right at the start, but TSM actually decide to turn this fight. If they wanted to back away, they could have backed away entirely and just gotten the 2 turret trade.
Yeah, look at Stark. Where do you think he lost his HP? As he walked in the Nashor pit, he actually triggered Baron Nashor, who knocked him up and slowed him down as well. So he's way too late right there to that fight. Unfortunate, but poor planning from the Marines.
I don't think Sunfire Cape on its own triggers Baron. I could be wrong, but I don't really play the lane. I think he might have like tried to Q a wall and it's like, oops, I actually triggered Baron on accident.
Yeah.
I tried to move around the map.
And Stark, again, kind of wrong place, wrong time right here. He goes up to the top side with no turret to defend, gives away the Mountain Drake and TSM.
And now it's all falling apart.
It's all falling apart. You're right, Crepo. It's falling apart now. Marines, it was nearly the play. And it feels like a lot of this game has been maybe the right idea, but slightly the wrong execution. Several situations there where Marines just mechanically misplay the situation, or it's just by a small margin it's off, and TSM 4,000 gold up are in a commanding position.
Yeah, props to TSM for finding the time to think here, because it's not a goal, that is a real Optimus.
Nice with the redemption, very smart by Biofrost, make sure he stays alive in the duel, not even a problem. And now, the flash, the chase down, another kill, Knight come through, Hanser steals it away, scumbag. Biofrost could have had his fort, but the mid lane just fell. Turret's going to be going down to trade for Marines.
Yeah, and TSM is controlling Optimus in this game, giving him a lot of edges. Bjergsen one-shots him.
Polo's out, Slay, the gameplay is there. He hit R. There's nothing new about it because he didn't buy any magic just yet against a Cinder. That is a risk that he took, and it paid off poorly.
TSM played slow when they need to figure out what is going on, but they play it fast when they need to as well. Bifrost not trying to preserve his flash there. He knows there's a tempo advantage to be gained. Immediately goes for the flashing Knight, and so much comes off that.
Try to kick back on a Stark. They don't find a lot for it, though. Actually, I think he got denied by the Wild Growth, and Sven gonna die to the turret. Just gets the shield in time and stays alive on that one, but TSM now running out of health. They cannot make the 4v5 dive work.
Really pushed hard because they wanted to get that inhibitor down and nearly overextend. They end up burning a lot of critical cooldowns there. Flash on Lee Sin, heal on Wild Turtle.
It is Baron the clock here, so a crucial misstep could still turn the tides here in the game. Give the Marines a way in. They're aggressively over-chasing here. Slay is nowhere close.
Yeah, and I know that TSM feels in control right now with the 4,000 gold lead and the turret advantage, but we've seen much larger leads swing around in the late game in this tournament.
And Marines still want to fight. TSM returning a bit with a single Ocean Drake, not as much as if they had two, obviously, but you saw Levi like, maybe I can hurt them, maybe we can... No, okay, he's not going to get it. I guess worth the attempt. That's kind of the point. Marines always say go. Got Stimpak's research, they're looking for everything they possibly can. Hurts them to do it, but sometimes they get those kills, and they're going to look at the mid lane right now. The aggressive play off the TSM reset, and to be fair, it was TSM's overdive. They were forced to back with low health bars because they pulled the trigger on a fight they shouldn't have gone for. Marines rewarded with smart play by going back to the mid lane.
I do have to nitpick the Phantom Dancer on Wild Turtle a little bit right now, because this is the second game where he's been on a carry with Phantom Dancer second instead of Hurricane. One game was Twitch, this game it's Caitlyn. He's so afraid of dying in a 1v1 to someone he wants the damage reduction, but Hurricane just gives you so many more headshots on Caitlyn. It's almost unanimously the better choice, so I have to criticize that a little bit, playing too safe.
Yeah, Caitlyn in a brush with Hurricane. Very satisfying to watch. But at this point, is overcorrecting really the wrong thing if you're Wild Turtle? Because it has to be getting to him, right? Like he must get some of the feedback that the community is in a very pleasant manner giving him on a lot of these games. That's why I'm very happy for at least TSM's bot lane here that they're finding performance. Even though the draft is topside centric, they actually snowball the game by playing 2v2.
Yeah, Lulu Caitlyn, no slouch in lane, that's for sure. But they were able to get the push early. Turtle yet to die this game.
For him, especially in a game with 17 kills / deaths so far. Turtle managed to stay safe enough. They did a good job in the 2-on-2. He and Biofrost have definitely stepped up this game. Been okay so far the Mid-Season Invitational, maybe a bit better than people expected of them. Expectations were low, but they've been reasonable so far. Hanser, interesting stat for him. He has only lost when he's played tanks. All his wins have come from higher damage champions. Not that's 100% win rate. He's lost on Fizz, but this Renekton game is another one in a trend of seems to do well when they actually have damage from the top lane.
25 minutes in and he's still having that side lane pressure here, and that's important because he's going to need to push in Stark and enable himself to potentially flank out. TSM is not really looking at Baron Nashor just yet. They're solidifying their control on the bottom side of the map, leaving the Gigabyte Marines to wander off in the top side.
Well, the base turret up in the bottom lane is still only at 980 health, so minions can continue to chip that down, and it demands a full-time defender. Not to mention, without Nautilus near the team for Gigabyte Marines, it kind of allows TSM to find the fight. Syndra and Lee Sin are great initiators in their own right, whereas Gigabyte Marines don't have as many options with just the Varus and the Blanc.
Moment of reprieve here as Bjergsen goes to the side lane here. I think it's very important when you play against the Marines that you always cater towards your side lanes. Minion push there can reveal your opponents, especially now TSM is basing. They need a few more control wards. 2 each is technically enough to get the perfect Baron setup, but then you need to use your sweepers ultra efficiently.
Yeah, and you need everyone to pitch in right there. Bjergsen sitting on 2 Doran's rings should probably sell one of those Doran's rings and have it for a control ward spot.
You preach.
Ah, he just sold it and bought 2 control wards.
It's almost as if they can hear you.
They cannot.
Cannot. It's almost as if
Sometimes
they are also
I wish
good
they
players.
could, honestly. Turtle, what should you buy? Probably a Hurricane, but who knows?
It'll be next, don't worry. Or rapid fire cannon.
Sells the PD for a Hurricane.
Do not recommend that. I'll take the 1,000 gold hit, no big deal.
What are the odds his second zeal is rapid fire cannon instead of Hurricane though? The rapid fire cannon is the more defensive option.
I would lose it.
I would lose it too.
He's Hurricane.
It's like actually just terrible for damage output. We'll see what he ends up doing here in this one. Turtle though has been at least consistent in this game. 3,000 gold remains the lead. Honestly, 3,000 is not that high. Like if TSM were really playing an excellent game, they would have more of a lead. They are still likely to close out, but this game is within reach for the Marines.
TSM's closing macro has always had a slow nature to it, but the strength of it was that it was almost uncounterable for a lot of teams because they did every step so meticulously, right? They never left you a chance to fight back.
Yeah, and that just hasn't been the case here at MSI. They had a 10,000 gold lead against G2 yesterday, nearly threw that one away, so this lead only at 3,000 gold, definitely not safe, but they're trying to pull it off. They've done this very well in the past, and they're trying to do it again.
Now we get to judge them. They get the Scuttle Crab. They had a good river sweep where they start in the brush, and they have people helping Firefrost. Because as a support, you want to get the sweeper on, but you want your buddies to kill the ward for you so you can get maximum coverage. You have the control ward seemingly in the right spot, one in the pit, but they're not defending the vision because they're going for a dragon here, so they're sacrificing vision for an ocean trade at 28 minutes, so this is a good stalling mechanic for the Marines.
It's interesting, as you mentioned, it's the TSM, okay, looking for the fight on Optimus, can't quite kill him, now it's Levi looking for the battle against Hunter, the Grump works for TSM, they paid off the map, it's a 6v5, and Hunter now with the Wild Growth finds his second kill, Levi's dead, Stark's up next, he flashes, but he's got nowhere to go. Looks for a blast cone, they're gonna stun him up, he still gets away with it. Hanser probably should have jumped for that one, can't quite get it yet. But there's still gonna be more damage coming through from Turtle, the anchor toss, the snipe! Doesn't punch through the shield, 2 for 0 so far TSM, and now it's time for Baron.
Yeah, no smite, no Optimus. That is the encapsulation of why TSM like playing around topside if Hanser can pull off plays like that.
Yeah, the idea is right. You see them go for Dragon, you are behind. You wanna fight back? Doesn't hit Dasher.
Yeah. Fun fact, when I saw a Redemption steal Nasher, it's because the Redemption procced a Thunderlords, which then stole Nasher. The Redemption actually doesn't hit the Nasher as far as I know.
I didn't know that.
Oh, let's read it.
Yeah, I'm okay.
We'll do that later, they're pushing mid lane, guys.
They're retreating in mid lane.
Meanwhile, Optimus gets game played on by Bjergsen.
And one more attack is going to do it. Q takes him down. Thank you, Jack, for the play-by-play. I apologize for nerding out about Redemption. Locket's on. Here comes the refight, but of course the mid laner's already dead. Means it's easy for TSM to win this. Stark is tanky, but he is still very much alone. Looks like a little mini Nautilus in this one running away. The zoom out makes it look like that, and they're killing everybody.
This game just fell apart for Gigabyte Marines, but the important question is, does Redemption do damage to Baron? Did you actually find out?
It burns enemy champions and damage to minions. It does not seem to damage monsters at all.
Got it.
I stand corrected. Thank you very much.
Gives you vision, though.
Does give you vision.
So you can watch your Baron being taken away from you. It's kind of sadomasochism for Gigabyte Marines. They knew what was coming. They just wanted to watch.
Masochism, I suppose. Sadism, I believe, is hurting others, and it doesn't really do that so much. Or I'm backwards. Either way, TSM looking to close the game out. 30 minutes in. Revenge on the Gigabyte Marines. The best of 7 will go the way of TSM. The head-to-head in the group stage will tie at 1-1. TSM moves up to 3rd place at 3 and 4. Momentarily, at least, Redemption to heal up the TSM health bars. And here comes the force for the Nexus, doing it better than G2 could. Nexus falls down. TSM gets the win.
And that's a huge relief for TSM in this tournament. If they want to make it into top 4, they had to win this game against the Gigabyte Marines. And the better thing for them is they played through topside, they drafted some of their signature champions, and they made it work on the international stage.
Yeah, we kept talking about it. Don't give the Marines their comfort picks. But what about TSM? They got every single champion they are at least known for playing, or the style. We saw an aggressive Hanser on a carry. We saw Svenskeren having the ability to influence the lane. It all started off very poorly though, but that flash from Levi was honestly game influencing in the early game.
Yeah, getting that 1 kill over to Svenskeren to allow him to still play the map was massive, and that moves TSM to 3 and 4.
3 and 4, as I mentioned, is the same record that G2 has right now. We'll see if that road upwards can continue. TSM have definitely had a up and down split so far. They did manage to top North America. That's why they're here in the first place, and here at MSI, it's been testy. They took down WE, the team sitting alone in second. They had dropped to Gigabyte Marines earlier on the tournament, and then they get revenge here, and again, are in position to grab that playoff spot.
And there's also a world where TSM versus G2 rematch will actually decide who takes the #1 seed home.
See what it ends up being.
Yeah, I do have to congratulate Kobe as well for getting the proper prediction despite my advice. So good job.
NA power is what it's about, I guess. Kobe was right. NA won here in this one. Now we're going to head up to our analyst to walk us through that TSM win.
Thank you very much, Freak, as TSM exits the stage. To plenty of cheers from the crowd. I mean, they've been fans of every team and all the action happening here at MSI. But the best of 7, TSM gets the final say. 4-3. Kobe, how you feel? You're probably riding a high after that, right?
Well, one of the big things that they also mentioned was that TSM has had this fear of LeBlanc in the past, and they've banned a tremendous amount of their games. Seem to have overcome their fear, at least versus this opponent.
I mean, it's been an interesting kind of development in this tournament. Jat was talking about it at the beginning of the day, kind of the lack, or, you know, the unsuccessful attempts at LeBlanc so far, and which teams have been willing to give it over, meaning they have a plan for it.
Yeah, and Optimus himself was just not looking too hot on the champion. I think that was, what, 0-5 at the end of the game there. Just really rough and continuously dying out by himself. And the other big problem is like, he didn't have any vision. Gigabyte Marines didn't have any vision to allow him to sit out in those side lanes and look for those assassination potential.
I mean, Optimus's play is one thing to look at in general. I mean, think about the early game, Levi's flash when he got punished by Svenskeren being in position on the Lee Sin, and then bot lane Slave flashing after he was going to die to ignite ticks anyway. The mechanical stuff that has been such a highlight from the side of the Gigabyte Marines was definitely letting them down in this game. It was atypical compared to their level of performance in other games.
And on the other side, you know, we have been giving Biofrost and Turtle such scrutiny through this tournament, and they really stepped up in the bottom, and that was multiple 2v2 solo kills on Archie and Slay down there.
They even put on the training weights there with giving over First Blood and the flash from Biofrost.
Oh my
but yes,
goodness.
they played very, very safe, and yet they are still able to go for counter kills, right? The ignite from Biofrost, getting that kill you're talking about with the extra flash.
Absolutely, and I want to push us forward to kind of the game breaker, if anything. Haunter coming up big in the top lane after aggression from the Gigabyte Marines. This is our Acer replay here. Haunter turning the 2v1.
And it wasn't just Haunter. Oh, excuse me, yes, this play was just Haunter. I thought we were going to do the big chase. Yeah, this is all Haunter. The 2v1, just flexing, just styling on them. Gets the redemption for some extra support there.
And I was kind of shouting out when the draft came through and they took Nautilus. I was asking for the Renekton because Renekton has the push on basically any of the tanks or expected picks in this spot. And he can also do things like this. The turnarounds when you really have the raid bar going and you have the ultimate popped was really clean, and we don't really know. Again, the story has been that Stark is much later into competitive play. We don't know where his champion pool is at. He went for the Ultra Comfort Nautilus, but Renekton was the prized pick there.
Crazy number of bans thrown to the top lane there, so both of these top laners having to deal with a lot of focus there, and champs like Haunter does get the better of it this time. How do we feel about TSM's ability to close here, though? The cast just mentioned there was a little bit of that slowdown that we've seen from a few teams, and this gold grab doesn't exactly mirror that of, you know, the exponential one we like to see.
Yeah, something that we have been tracking with TSM is the very noticeable, you know, kind of slowdown in their shot calling. Ever since Double Lift left, people were attributing a lot of that to him because Bjergsen talked about, yeah, Double Lift is the one that was bringing more of the aggressive calls.
Right.
And he was a bit more of the well thought out and planned ones. Another thing that is coming into it, I think, is a lot of the criticism that they're getting is also affecting their playstyle. And everybody has just been loading on and on and on with TSM, and it seems like they're playing extremely cautious now, and maybe that's affecting them going a little bit slower in the mid game as well. The cautious playstyle, though, did benefit them early on, as we talked about in the 2v2.
Final thoughts here, Fruskern.
But that's always been something that TSM have really thrived on. You know, when you watch them domestically, I kind of recognize them as just like good, clean, fundamental League of Legends champions. You know, put them on their comfort picks and just let them play the map.
And in a tournament where all this craziness is happening, you would think that that kind of trait for a team would prove well for them or serve them in this group stage. For more on that win, though, let's go ahead and head down to Shox with TSM's 80 carry.
Thank you very much, guys. Indeed, joined by Wild Turtle, who is, of course, very happy after that victory. And Turtle, the first thing I want to ask you about is what Kobe was mentioning before, the fact that you guys are playing, and it seems like you guys are losing a bit of confidence because of the magnifying glass that you're playing under. Is that also a cause for some of the inconsistencies in game?
I think it has to do with a little bit of both. Like, I think we have